Gregory. President,
Okay.
I believe they're about to make Mr. Moore available momentarily.
Perfect. We're waiting on him then. Thank you. On
You're welcome.
on People versus Timothy Moore, on behalf of the people.
Victoria Shackelford appearing on behalf of the people, P68574.
And on behalf of Mr. Moore.
Christina Joseph appearing on behalf of Mr. Moore, P79668.
And I do have a motion for a protective order and then a motion to file all the pleadings under seal. There was some discussion off the record regarding the two motions. And Ms. Shackelford, you want to address them?
And Judge, I guess I would just be asking for the court to wait for my client so he can hear these conversations and hear what's being put on the
Actually,
record.
it's weird. I have the is that your client?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then apparently they brought him in through another. We have the jail on Division 1 in the annex room, and it looks like they have him on floor 7 in a conference room. Mr. Moore, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now that we have Mr. Moore on the record with us, and we have Ms. Shackelford and Ms. Joseph, I indicated that there were two motions that were filed. And what's the status of those?
Well, Your Honor, with respect to, and I don't want to speak for Ms. Joseph, but with respect to the motion to seal pleadings, I believe there's a stipulation, and that would be under MCR 8.119.
Judge, that is correct. I have spoken with my client about that, and we do agree to stipulate to seal the pleadings.
Okay, so you're going to send over, do you have, Ms. Shackelford, do you have Heather, who's on here, my disposition clerk, are you going to forward that for my signature then?
Yeah, and Your Honor, I did just this morning, I forwarded the order to Ms. Joseph so she could review it. So before the end of this hearing or immediately following this hearing, I'll make sure that it's submitted to your clerk, Your Honor. Is that where I should send it?
It is with Heather Mortsfield. She will, Heather, why don't you private chat Ms. Shackelford and send her your email, okay? She's going to do that right now.
Thank you, Judge. And Your Honor, I don't know if it's possible to have a bench conference with respect to the protective order motion. I believe defense counsel and I are in agreement on many of the issues, but I do think it would be appropriate to address it at the bench if possible.
Yes, Judge, I think there are some significant issues that need to be discussed with the protective order, and a bench conference would be appropriate.
Do you just want the three of us in the bench conference?
I'll leave that up to defense counsel.
Judge, that would be fine, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'm going to do a breakout room for the three of us. And I would just, only because I'm going to be leaving the main room, I note that there are other people that have joined the Zoom that I imagine are from the victim's family. I would ask everybody to mute. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, mute yourself. Thank you. And the person with the name of Chris too, also mute yourself, please.
How do you mute this?
I'll mute you. I'll do it for you. Thank you. And the person with the identifier is Chris. Does anybody know who that is?
I do not, Your Honor. All of the victims' family were told to watch on YouTube.
Okay. Okay, the person, so you don't know the person that's Selena's iPhone that I just muted. You don't know.
I do not.
You know what? Are you Selena Brown? I know I muted you. I apologize. Miss Brown, I'm gonna put you back in the breakout room. You're on a case that's in a half hour. Yep, I got you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
put you in the breakout room. I'm doing another case right now, okay?
Okay.
I mean, in the waiting room. I apologize. And
No
then
problem.
I'll get you in a few.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put the person that's Chris there too. All right. Now I'm gonna assign us to a room. Okay, I think we have everybody back on the People versus Timothy Moore case after the breakout room. My understanding is we have a stipulation on the pleadings under seal that you're gonna send over to Heather. I'm gonna sign that after Miss Joseph has an opportunity to review that matter. On the motion for the protective order of the discovery, we had a fairly lengthy conversation. I think that this case is going to take some time to work through as far as the discovery matters go. With an idea that we have an adjourned date 2 weeks out on December the 9th at 11 a.m. Ms. Shackelford, between now and then, I want you to send Ms. Joseph some of the discovery with the idea that she has some packet materials that she can share with the defendant, whether that's his, let's talk about some of those items that you think are things that are fair. Because I'm gonna end up agreeing to a protective order. Well, first of all, we're gonna have a protective order that prevents any third parties from having access to any of these documents. It's under seal, and the protective order prevents any third parties. Do everybody understands that and agrees to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, I understand and agree to that so long as my client is not determined to be a third
A
party.
third party, no, and I get that. Mr. Moore has the caveat that we're going to supply, or I'm going to order that the prosecutor's office supplies documents that you can release to your client within the next 2 weeks between now and the next hearing. Ms. Shackelford, let's talk about those things that you're going to release to her immediately. Upon the signing of the protective order against third parties, and Mr. Moore, you understand that when you get any of these documents from your attorney, that you are not to share them with anyone. Do you understand that?
I think he's muted.
I think you might be muted. That's better.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure you understand it. What types of documents, Ms. Shackelford, are you going to give her in the next 2 weeks so that she understands? I mean, there's voluminous documents. We talked about that there's 4,000 or 5,000 pages worth of documentation.
That's just paper, Judge. I have a terabyte on a hard drive. It's expensive.
Right.
Some documents I think that would be helpful. I'm happy to turn over the defendant's interrogation, any call detail records and mapping as it relates to this defendant. Any lab work that's been done. I believe there's about 20 labs at this point, so I will hand those over.
I mean, I want to make sure that, Ms. Joseph, that there's no impeding of your ability to represent. But I also think at this specific point in time that we're at in this case, that releasing the voluminous documentation to you is sort of, a pool of documents. And so I think if she gives you those types of things that over the next 2 weeks, that's enough for you to take a bite of and start working through with your client. Do you understand?
I do understand, Judge, and I know that Your Honor understands where my client's sitting, which is at the Wayne County Jail right now, and we very much want those documents as soon as possible. I understand there's issues with investigations, but it's my client's life that's at stake here and his freedom, so we want that information.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that, and I'm going to make a decision and take the position, and I think Ms. Shackelford can understand this with me, as you will not be sitting there with nothing to do. There will be enough documentation for you to be working on and going through that there's not going to be a stonewalling. There's not going to be a lack of documentation for you and your client to go through at any time in this process. And that's why I want to keep a tight rein on it and moving forward, so that the release of those documents, that we can get through this as efficiently as possible, with giving you the opportunity to represent your client the way that you should, and that your client doesn't feel at any point that you guys are waiting for documentation or waiting on a situation that you're sitting there without, without discovery from the prosecutor's office.
And Your Honor, I'd also like to provide Ms. Joseph with a copy of the investigator's report. I have two options with respect to that. I can either have it under the protective order. It's already under seal with the court. And as long as that is not, produced directly to any third party, I don't have an issue providing it unredacted, but with the understanding that that document is not to make its way to the Wayne County Jail. I don't care if it's discussed with the client. I care about the paper document being submitted
For
to
the
Wayne County
moment,
Jail.
Ms. Joseph,
Judge, I take issue with that. I think any and all discovery I should be able to provide that to my client. That's what's needed
Well,
to
here's
necessarily
gonna be-
defend him.
for today's date, the investigative report, you have two choices. You either get it and you can read it to your client, or you wait for it and we'll give you other documentation, and the prosecutor's office will give you other documentation at this point. Do you understand what I'm saying? And
I
then
do understand.
Then we'll deal with it again in 2 weeks.
I do understand, Judge. I guess my question would be whether that report can be submitted to defense counsel in a fashion that it could be provided to the defendant, or if that's not a possibility at this point.
Ms. Shackelford,
I think it's unwise, not only because of the ongoing investigation, because I think there's a likelihood that if that document is provided directly to the defendant, it's going to make its way onto social media,
how long is that document?
maybe 20 pages. I'm happy to redact it. That's the only other option I see it as information about ongoing investigations.
Well, okay, so for the moment, why don't we do this? You provide her with an unredacted, I'm gonna order that you provide her with an unredacted copy that you can share with your client verbally, but you cannot give him a copy of. Then, Ms. Shackelford, I want you to also provide her with a redacted copy that she can share with Mr. Moore.
Thank you,
Fair
Judge.
enough?
Thank you,
That's
Judge.
fair. That's fair, Judge.
Thank you. Yes.
And then 2 weeks, you should both have enough on your plate that you shouldn't be looking, it should be moving it slowly forward. And if we do this, like I said, one bite at a time, I think that we can get through it.
That makes sense. Thank you, Your
Okay?
Honor.
Both parties agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if there's a problem, if there's a question, if there's something that you think I said that I didn't say, that you guys disagree once we hang up, you know where to find me. I will be available by Zoom to both of you anytime. Okay? So if there's a
Understood.
dispute or that I need to resolve between now and the 9th, reach out and I'll deal with it.
And
Thank you.
after, yep, and Judge, when we're done with this hearing, I'll call Ms. Joseph directly. We can work out the language for the temporary protective order, and I will submit the order for seal and the, at least the language of the protective order should be agreed to, and I'll submit those both for signature by the end of the day.
Perfect. All right. Anything else?
Not on behalf of the people.
Ms.
Nothing
Joseph?
Nothing further from the defense, Judge.
And Ms. Joseph, just as a ending note, do you have any need to do a breakout room with your client before we finish?
I do, Judge, very much so.
All right,
And, Your Honor, can we just get the date for the next hearings before the,
it is December the 9th at 11 o'clock.
great, thank you.
All right, then this hearing is concluded. Ms. Joseph, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Mr. Moore, and then unless there's another issue between now and then, I'll see you in 2 weeks on December the 9th at 11.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. There you go, Miss Joseph.